I've added chapters to the video if you'd like to skip to the graphics card you wanted to see. Feel free to pause the video at any point to keep the results on the screen. Sorry for the confusion. During the recording of my most recent video, I realized something while preparing Counter-Strike 2 for benchmarking. You may have seen the post about it already, but assuming you haven't, here's the situation. I didn't know that FSR was enabled for every benchmark I've run since my first video all the way to today, which is currently August 21st. The option for FSR is all the way at the bottom of the settings. Here, I'll put up a clip. And it sets itself to balance every time you select the low preset. For other people who've played CS2, this is probably well known, but I don't play competitive games, so in all my benchmarks so far, I've had it written as 1080p, when in reality, because FSR is set to balanced, it's actually more like, 1130 by 635, I think, getting upscaled to 1080p. So this video aims to right a wrong. In this video, I'm going to be re-benchmarking every card I've ran through CS2 so far, getting the actual numbers at native 1080p. It might be a bit shorter and sloppier than my main videos, but it didn't feel right to just make a post and leave it. Oh, I've also overclocked every card the exact same way I overclocked them for the full benchmark videos. Every CS2 run will have the same settings, native 1080p, everything else set on the minimum except for dynamic shadows, which will be set to all. Onto the two Radeon cards, starting with the R9 380. Unfortunately, I could not, for the life of me, get the original overclock to apply. The voltage offset option just wouldn't unlock no matter what I tried. Editing MSI Afterburner.cfg, editing the profile manually, using DDU to wipe and then reinstall the drivers, both the stock ones and the modded ones, reinstalling MSI Afterburner, editing the .cfg, but in a different spot, adjusting the options by toggling them off and then back on, rebooting countless times. I just couldn't get it to overvolt for the stable overclock again. Not that it mattered, because even at stock settings, the game was glitching out heavily. Massive artifacting and the display popping in and out, so the R9 is a no-go. As for the other Radeon card, the RX 570, this time the overclock remembered and applied, but CS2 once again was just blowing up. Artifacts across the screen, disconnects from the monitor, same as the R9 380, and same at stock. Unigine Heaven ran perfectly fine even with the overclock, so maybe it's an issue with CS2 and AMD cards, or the way I'm capturing it with an HDMI splitter. I don't know. Well, it would show up in the other games too if it was the splitter. Either way, for now I just can't benchmark these two. So, starting off the reruns for real with the GTX 970, which I just finished the video on not too long ago. New results are 278 average and 141.7 lows for 16x9. And for 4x3, we got 303 average, or 303.3 average, and lows of 146.9. Next up are the two 960s. First is the 2GB model. At 16x9, we had 184.9 average and 89.6 lows. At 4x3, we had 217.9 average and 102.1 lows. Let's see. For the 4GB model, at 16x9, we had 184.7 average and lows of 89.8. So basically the same, actually. And at 4x3, we saw 215.7 and the 1% lows of 113.6. So actually, the average was about the same, but the lows were a lot higher. That's kind of neat. Now, onto my 750 Ti. At 16x9, we had 122.8 average and lows of 55. And at 4x3, we had an average of 145.4 with lows to 64.7, which is actually a lot better than I expected the 750 Ti to do. Especially considering in the original video, I think I did like medium or something. I don't know, it had FSR, it ran decent there, but now native, it's still running really good. The lows are a little low, but overall it's still above 60, I'd be fine with that. And now for the GTX 780, at 16x9 on average, we had 176 and 1% lows of 95, both just flat numbers, no decimals. And 4x3, we had 214.8 average and lows of 118.4. So, actually a little worse than the 960, now that I'm looking at it, which is a little interesting considering the 780 is supposed to be the high end of the 700 series and is getting smoked by the 960. Maxwell is just a crazy architecture in my opinion. Power efficiency and just gaming-wise, it's just a good architecture. The GTX 1060 is next, the 6GB model specifically. For 16x9, on average, we had 284.3, and then 1% lows down to 143.7. And then at the 4x3 aspect ratio, we had 321.8 average, and 1% lows down to 152.5. So this is the best result we've seen so far, even compared to the GTX 970, which It's not by a lot, but it is by enough to be noticeable. That's pretty good for the 10 series. Now, the 980, I have seen the benchmarks for. I'm not going to spoil it, but it might be giving the 1060 a run for its money. It might not be giving it a run for its money. Maybe the VRAM is important, maybe it's not. But that next video is going to be pretty interesting, I think. I thought the 980 was pretty impressive. And now for the two cards from the Peak of Pascal video, the GTX 1080 Ti and the Titan XP. These are the best cards I have. I have one that's crazy powerful, but I'm not going to benchmark that. That's just out of the realm of benchmarking capabilities, like whatever. So let's start off with the 1080 Ti. On average, for the 16x9, we had 366.6 and 1% lows on 147.3. And then at the 4x3 aspect ratio, we had 386.5 with 1% lows down to 162.1. So far, the best results that we've seen. The Titan XP, though, in the original video, it ran faster, but we might also be hitting a CPU bottleneck. So let's go ahead and see. Titan XP. 16x9, on average, we had 371.8 with 1% lows down to 154.3, so a little faster than the 1080 Ti. And then at the 4x3 aspect ratio, we had 379.1 average, and 1% lows down to 152.2. So the 1% lows were lower, and the average was lower than the 1080 Ti. So that's actually kind of interesting. That makes me think it is a CPU bottleneck, and we just got lucky with the 1080 Ti. Less driver overhead? I don't know. And I guess those are all the graphics cards that I've benchmarked so far, other than the two Radeon ones, which I really wanted to see, but apparently the computer did not want to see it. Maybe it's a new Windows update. I'm not sure. Either way, this was just a quick video to put out there to correct a mistake that I've had in all the benchmarks. Again, very sorry about that. That will be fixed in the future for all my future videos that I do. Especially the newest one. That one is where I first noticed it. I did not know it was at the bottom. I thought it would be at the top, just like they have in Cyberpunk, I think. No Man's Sky has it pretty low down in the settings too, which is kind of annoying. I wish FSR was up at the top. Either way, I'm rambling. Thanks for watching. Sorry about the mistakes. They will be fixed in the future videos. Sorry that I had to post this one in order to correct a mistake.